I was lucky to work at some great companies, which in fact as a reason why I still believe that working in game dev is a good career choice. And today I'm going to tell you about the 4 best ones. Buongiorno everyone, this is Anisa Ginjo Art Channel. I'm Anya, and before we start, don't forget to perform an ancient ritual called subscribe to this channel. Is it really hard for you? And for the sake of good karma for you and inspiration for me to keep making videos, leave a like on this video and share it on your social media. And now let's get started. I will evaluate companies based on the following criteria: projects, salary, skill growth opportunities, overtimes, my subjective opinion and everything else, plus why I no longer work there. So let's start from the end, meaning the last company I worked at. So it is Airship Interactive. It's a British outsourcing company with a well-established name, high-quality projects, and overall quite stable reputation. Now the project. As far as I remember from my NDA, I can't disclose which game it was, but I can say that it was a very famous title from a very well-known and huge company. The project was super interesting and quite complex from an artistic, stylistic point of view. And that's exactly why I was absolutely thrilled about it, because I love working on projects with challenging stylistics, because they are the ones that truly push your skill growth. The complexity was in the barely noticeable points. They are always tricky, but they drastically affect the overall art style on the project. Our whole team spent most of time on the high poly stage just to match these stylistic nuances. All the 3D artists on the project were middle or senior level, because I can confidently say that to really catch the peculiarities, you need to have the skill to see them as well as a strong visual experience. That's why there were no juniors among us. On this project, I could physically feel my skill growing, and that feeling was really cool. I highly recommend everyone to experience it. Regarding overtime in at work, there was almost none, at least for me. I always managed to meet the deadlines on time. There was only one overtime case during the LOD creation stage, but that was only because the client suddenly changed the deadlines and I had to manually create 5 LODs in 2 days. You might ask, why manually and not using all those plugins and automation tools? Because it was a specific requirement from the client. And what can I do? Just do your work. Online meetings were held every morning. I'm not a big fan of meetings, to be honest. Thank all the gods, these meetings lasted only about 15 minutes instead of an hour. There was also a weekly meeting with the client, and that one was quite long. But well, you can handle this, it's not a lot. Let's say the bureaucratic side of the job was a bit tedious, but well, what can we do? I had to log my hours in Jira every day and send an invoice at the end of the month. Everyone working on the project, except for the team leader, though I'm not entirely sure, was hired as a freelancer. So invoices every month were our everything if we wanted to get paid. The company always paid on time, like clockwork. The salary was decent. During my interview, no one even argued about my rate. The only thing was that they converted my rate from dollars to British pounds, but then paid me in euros because I didn't have an account in British pounds. According to the policy of the company, they could pay only in pounds or in euros. I adapted to the project in about 2 weeks, and by the 3rd week I felt like a fish in the water. Here is some interesting things. I encountered this for the first time, but they asked me to send screenshots of my licenses for Dead Brush, Substance, Marmoset and Maya. I had heard about this before, but I thought it was something that happened once in a blue moon during the retrograde Mercury. But here I was facing this for the first time in my life. And you might fairly ask, why doesn't the company provide licenses to its employees? Because the contract they offer is a freelancer contract. Very convenient, easy to hire, easy to fire. When you're hired as a freelancer, it's your problem where to get the licenses. That's just how it works. My collaboration with Airship Interactive ended because our client didn't renew their contract with the company. They recalculated their budget and decided, well, I don't know what exactly they decided, but they didn't sign the contract. But the whole team of 12 artists was laid off and had to look for new opportunities. I was devastated, really devastated, because on that very same day, I had thought to myself, thank God, I work at a great company on an amazing project with fantastic team and for good money. But well, it happens. It's life, it layoffs. The company is great. The projects are great. The internal workflow is well structured. The team is fantastic and the salary is excellent. I genuinely enjoyed working there. The fact that my project was cut is, of course, disappointing, but that's not the company's fault. It's client's fault. Let's be honest. Overall, I recommend this company. They hire people remotely from all over the world, so there is no need to move to the UK. So it's my big recommendation. That was Airship Interactive, and now we move on. The next company I really enjoyed working at was Dragonfly Studios, an American outsourcing company. I collaborated with them from the very beginning of the company's creation. The project I was working on with them was Secrets of Skywale, a beautiful game with gorgeous characters and super clear concepts. I was making outfits for the existing characters. On this project, the stylistic approach was very familiar to me. I knew it well and I was already skilled in working with it. I could refine the knowledge and skills which I already have, which is also quite valuable. The work pipeline was genuinely standard, with some peculiarities as always. I found working on the characters for this game incredibly interesting. I rarely play games myself, but this was one of those moments where I actually wanted to install it and play after its release. Since Dragonfly Studios was a new company, I was the only character artist on the project. My work was reviewed directly by the art director and the team lead from the client side. Everyone was satisfied with my work and I was satisfied too. A huge bonus was that they allowed me to showcase the characters in my portfolio even before the game was released. I'm not sure why, maybe some kind of marketing strategy. You can check out all the characters I created for it on my art station, the link is in the description. There were not many meetings. I think we had a meeting every now and then, either with the client when they needed to explain something about the pipeline, or if the team leader wanted to visually demonstrate something regarding the feedback. As for reporting, there was only one requirement. At the end of the day, I had to send a screenshot of the day's progress, and that's it. You could work however and whenever you want. Here is the deadline, and once a day just send a screenshot of what you did. If you ask me, it's not a job, it's a dream. I really hate fixed schedules. I never ever missed the deadline, I always delivered on time. Feedback was always clear and straightforward, everything was understandable. Salary, also the salary was good. They offered me slightly less than what I initially asked, but I always am high in my negotiations, so in the end I got exactly what I expected. Payments were always on time. Just like the previous company, the contract with the company was freelance based. But here there were no Jira logs. It was simply calculated as 4 hours per day and that was it. Once a month I sent invoice and received my money in dollars. Just for the record, I honestly pay all the taxes on every income I receive. Why did I stop working with them? Layoffs. The client ran out of money for outsourcing artists, so they shifted all their workload to the internal art department, and I was left unemployed again. And once again, it was exactly the same situation. I thought, thank God, everything is stable. I'm working in a great company on a great project with great conditions and for great money. But things turned out the way they did. Layoffs hit me just like they hit everyone else. But I don't have time to tears and self-pity. I live abroad and many people think it's paradise, that I'm out here living in the center of the Colosseum without a single worry. I wish that was the case, but unfortunately it's not. So after another layoff, I had to scrape myself off the floor and get back to job searching. Overall, I recommend the company. Great work conditions, interesting projects, good pay and adequate management. Everything is top. As for layoffs, no one is safe from them. This can happen anywhere and in any company, so we are moving on. The third company where I enjoyed working was our Ukrainian company, Kevuru Games. To be honest, this was right before the war started, and I don't really remember all the projects I worked on, but I do remember that that was interesting. I found work relatively easy, and the reason why I don't remember the projects is that I wasn't allowed to add them to my portfolio after the release. Why? No idea, company policy. And of course, I didn't like that. Did I like the projects? They were okay, not dream projects, not something I was dying to showcase in my portfolio, but overall I was fine. They were always stylized characters, so I was exactly where I needed to be. I had an amazing team lead, and overall the atmosphere in the company was pleasant. My team lead was fantastic. He always explained everything clearly and in a very friendly way. I don't really remember the meetings. I think there were some, but only when necessary. Though I might be mistaken, my memory is failing me. Salary and conditions. Everything was great. They paid well and on time. No delays at all. I think we logged our hours in Jira as well, but it wasn't as strict as in the first company I talked about. The contract here was, as far as I remember, as an employment contract, not a freelance one. That means that even if I didn't have tasks on a particular day, I still got paid for the day. So there was no stress about invoices or tracking time in Jira. That was definitely a big plus for the company. A good company, recommended. There were no crunches at all. I liked working there, the conditions, the salary, the atmosphere, everything was great. As for the interest level of the projects, that was a bit lacking, but it was still manageable. Why did I leave? Because I was offered a significantly higher salary elsewhere. And since this happened in the first months after the war started, I was living abroad and my expenses suddenly skyrocketed. So I was successfully hired by another company where, to be honest, my life turned into hell. The last company I really enjoyed working at was my first serious job, Dragonfly. I talk about it a lot, so I'll keep it brief. This is an amazing company with incredibly high quality standards. Nowhere else I have ever encountered such high standards of quality. After Dragonfly, it is impossible to be a bad artist. They will definitely teach you how things should be done. Projects, absolutely great, super interesting, challenging, and very significant for your portfolio. I had an incredible team leader. I will never stop saying this, that my team leader in Dragonfly was the best team leader and the most talented artist I have ever met in my life. No one has taught me more than this team leader. I will be grateful for him for this training to the rest of my life. Working at Dragonfly is insanely hard. Crunches all the time, always staying late. I was constantly stressed. I worked there for 2 years and I don't remember a single day when I wasn't anxious. But at a certain stage of your development as a 3D artist, Dragonfly provides priceless experience. I had an employment contract, so I didn't have to worry about missing pay if there were no tasks on a given day. Although, honestly, I don't think I ever didn't have tasks. There was always work. Salary, the lowest of all the company I worked at. But for the first job, where I was hired with almost no experience, the salary was great. Dragonfly definitely recommended, but be ready to work almost all the time. And this is the full list of the companies I enjoyed working at. I hope this was useful for you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. Also remember that on Patreon you can find a lot of useful information, so check it out. So this is all from me for today. Wishing you peaceful skies, a bit of Italian Dolce Vita, and see you in the next video.